doing well. This is Mondenjava with Woman Crown Wednesday, and I am really excited on the first episode. So today we are going to be talking about fear. I know this is something that you can all relate with me, because in one way or the other we have been very, very fearful. So let me give you a story. Growing up, I don't know, the enemy has just a way of pinning you down with his lies and the way he thinks concerning you. So growing up, I thought that I didn't have any meaningful word that I could speak in front of people. And so normally I am not a quiet person. I can't really talk. But growing up, somehow I thought that I'm not meant to be talking, and I didn't have anything that could make a meaningful conversation. So anytime I would be in front of a group of people, I would not talk. I would shy down and I would just be And so I finished school, and then I start pursuing my dreams, my career. I start seeking God to know my purpose, and then boom, God tells me that my purpose is in ministry. It's in speaking and teaching the word of God. And man, it really shook me up, because I was wondering, how am I supposed to stand in front of people? How am I supposed to carry myself as a woman of God? you know the way they carry themselves, like they're calm, cool, collected. They speak the word, And at that moment, I didn't know. So God connected me with a certain ministry. And that ministry, the man of God in that ministry was used by God to throw me in the deep, in the deep. So I remember vividly one day, we gathered. We had services. We used to have services where lots and lots of young people would gather. At that time, I was around 22 years old. And so one day he told me that I'm the one who would be opening the service. So opening the service entails that you welcome people, and of course there'll be prayer in between. Then welcome people and tell them what that meeting is all about. Oh my God, I had never stood in front of a large crowd of people. And that day he threw me into the deep and told me that I'm the one who is doing it. So I went up there and I looked at the people and I was like, oh my God, this is it. Have you ever felt like you want the earth to just open up and you disappear? Or these magical moments that happen and a wind comes and blows you away, and you go away? That's how I felt. But then I remember telling myself that, you know what, Monde, it's not about you. It's about you representing people and bringing people to the Father. And I am not doing it by my own strength. There is a higher being that I'm fully dependent on, and this is God. And then in my mind I was like, if this man of God saw me fit and worth to start this meeting, then it means that I'm capable. So I had to give myself a little pep talk, and I was good to go. But immediately I gave myself that little pep talk, it's not that fear just disappeared. But the moment I began talking, I began welcoming people, I began praying, then there was something that was living. It was living. And finally, by the time I was getting at the middle of it all, I was not even remembering that I was afraid. So, you know what fear is? Fear is simply partnering with the enemy to believe in a lie. Because whoever told me that I cannot speak in front of people, that was not God. That was not the voice of God. Remember, in the beginning, God gave us dominion and he commissioned us, And if God has given us dominion, then it means that we are well capable. So I believe in that I'm not able to start meaningful conversation was a lie from the enemy, simply because the enemy knew that we are called to do exploits, And I thank God for that man of God, because he threw me into the deep. Now, what am I trying to say? Unless you step out of your comfort zone and throw yourself into the deep, then fear is not going to leave you, Fear is not going to leave you. So, what are you afraid of doing? Are you afraid of starting that business? That fear is not going to leave as long as you're seated in your house and you're always saying, I want to start a business, but you're not you're not actualizing it. You need to talk and actualize. That's the only way that fear is going to leave you. And something interesting is that fear does not come when you're not planning to do something. It will always come when you're planning to do something. When you're planning to actualize that idea is when fear is going to come. Why? Because it wants to pull you back and keep you at a bay for you not to do it. But understanding that God made you fearfully and wonderfully made, and that we have the mind of Christ, just as 2 Timothy 1:7 tells us that God has not given us a spirit of fear. He has given us a spirit of a sound mind. He has given us a spirit of power, and he has given us a spirit of love. And that makes me understand that when you understand the perfect love of God, the word of God says that perfect love casts out all fear. So when you understand the love of God and you uptake it all, then it's going to make the fear disappear. So let me share with you some of the things maybe that I did so that this fear may leave. And I believe, just even as the word of God tells us, that these are some of the remedies of fear. So number one, as I've said, is understanding the love of God, fully understanding the love of God, and continuously reminding yourself over and over again. Now, you cannot understand the love of God if you don't read the word of God. So you have to study the word of God. Become intentional in studying the word of God. What does the word of God say about me? What does the word of God say about my future? What is that definition from the word of God? And constantly meditate on it day in, day out. I love to write sticky notes and stick through my walls, maybe where I sleep or where I'm constantly at, like at work, maybe at my desk, and I write words of God in them that constantly remind me, because the more I constantly eat the word of God, the more it becomes a reality to me. Okay, so maybe you can uptake that. Number two is constantly remind yourself that you have the mind of Christ. That is a sound mind that is able to make sound judgment. So in whatever activity that you want to do or whatever project you want to do, always remind yourself, even if it calls for you to speak loudly and telling yourself that Mwende, you have the mind of Christ. Mwende, you have a sound mind, therefore you're able to make sober decisions. Okay? And then the other one is by study in regards to what you want to partake. If you've been called in ministry, study, research what is it all about ministry. If you want to take up a business, let's say you want to start up maybe a fashion business, do research concerning fashion. Right now we have very many videos and very many people who can maybe help you understand wherever you want to go. So take time and study, because the word of God says that study to show yourself approved. So the moment you have studied a lot of things concerning where you want to go, concerning your career, concerning your purpose, concerning the creativity that's in you, the more it's going to give you confidence to conquer through. So prepare. And the other one that I would want to say is constantly meditate on the word of God that is true, that is real, that is because in meditating on the word of God, you renew your mind, you transform your mind. Because I noticed that fear can come from our upbringing, and all you ought to do is renew your mind. Maybe the various things that have happened in your life. Maybe you have been abused. Maybe you have grown up being looked down upon. You're told that you can amount up to no good person, But the moment you constantly renew your mind over and over again, then you get a new understanding of different things. You get a new understanding of yourself. If God calls you fearfully and wonderfully made, then you understand, oh, you mean I am so beautiful even after people told me that I was not beautiful. Maybe you started a venture and it failed, then you understand that God's mercies are new every morning. You have a new chance to do it. Okay, so constantly renew your mind by uptaking the truth. Okay, and I think that marks the end of today. I hope with those few points that I've said that you are going to be able to walk out of fear. And let me leave you with this thought. Remember that for Peter to walk on water, he had to step out of the boat. And for him to walk through, he had to fix his eyes on Jesus. So he had to focus on the end goal. And the end goal was to go to where Jesus was. So, do you have an end goal that you want to achieve? That should be your motivation day in, day out, so that you may step out of water and walk constantly towards your end goal without focusing on these other things that are surrounding you. Because as soon as Peter started focusing on the water he was walking on, then he started sinking. But as constantly as he continuously fixed his eyes on Jesus, then he kept walking. So what is your end goal? Focus on that end goal. Bye. Until next time. Love you all. Remember to like, share, and subscribe.